This is going to be our full spoiler cast. I'm letting everyone know before the intro goes off so that if you did not beat Resident Evil 7 or you still haven't, or you care about the spoilers, then please, I would say, leave now.
Or you only got one of the endings.
Ooh. So what is up, everybody? This is The Enthusiast, our Resident Evil 7 full spoiler cast. I'm one of your hosts, Will Zabo, alongside me, Jesse Nazario.
Hello.
We both beat Resident Evil 7. Not once, but twice.
And you almost came a Zabo sandwich. Get it from Resident Evil 1, Jill sandwich.
Yeah, I got it. Good
It's
job.
very busted. Okay. I like the Resident Evil games. They're fun to me. I didn't lose hope like everybody else did when they started turning into action games. With that being said, I love how they went back. So this is a spoiler episode, like I said, so I'm going to say one of the first things. This is a remake almost of the first game.
Yeah.
Very similar.
Except I would say, in my opinion, they nailed some of the elements a little better.
Right.
And here's why. The first game, you had a bunch of scientists that were in a mansion, and it made no sense as to why some of the puzzles you had to do were there, in my opinion. It makes perfect sense why these puzzles are the way they are in this game, because it's a bunch of redneck, backwater, crazy people.
Yes.
And it's like, oh, I need a scorpion key to open this door covered in
Scorpion, yeah. One of the things I think the game did super well, and like I said, I'm just going to jump everywhere with this on this warning. The Bakers are the family that you come across. The father, the mother, the son, and the daughter's there too, but she's not one of the bosses. So, hated the father, like scared the crap out of me every boss battle with him, and like, you feel like you fought him 8 times. You set him on fire, you ran him over, you shot him.
He shot himself.
He shot himself, and then you eventually had to take a chainsaw to him. And then even then, I was like, I don't think he's dead. I don't think he's dead.
He actually wasn't.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get to that later. Go on.
And then same thing with the mother. And I'm sorry, when she comes back with the long arms and her vagina is just made out of the beehive, which is completely disgusting, by the way. A terrifying boss battle. So I had this hatred for these characters. Only so later on in the game, when you find out it's not the Baker's fault, I instantly felt guilt and felt bad for them.
Right?
And the game was so successful about that. You bring emotion out of me for these characters that just a few hours ago, I was like, mother effer, I'm shooting you in the face.
Yeah, I felt so bad for all of them. The only one I would say I didn't feel bad for was probably the brother.
Lucas.
Because I felt like he knew what he was doing. Because in his one video, he says, not everyone wants to cheat.
But yes.
Not
and he said that repeatedly. I agree with you.
Yeah.
But if even so, the game did a real good job of you reading the diaries and stuff of the characters. With that being said, I'll go into another thing I feel like the game ruined for me by giving me too many breadcrumbs. But
you actually kind of get teased for the ending of the game before you get there.
Absolutely, that's where I'm going with. But going back to it, Lucas, if you read him, he was not happy with his life, and Zoe, he was not happy with Zoe and anything like that. So I definitely agree with you. But even so, like you look at the pictures of them and they're normal, and he looked like a normal person. Your character says he looks like a d-bag.
Yeah.
But he looks normal, unlike, he was insane, you know what I mean? But one of the things the game did so well, I feel like, is they hinted to you about this little girl this whole time. And, oh my God, where is this girl? Who is she? Is she a daughter? Come find, it's her. She did all of this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like...
Now, this is a huge spoiler, even though this is a spoiler cast. The little girl actually was the old lady that
Yes.
you see sitting in the chair
And
all the time.
What pissed me off, and this is why I said the game, to me, left too many breadcrumbs, when they kept moving her around, and I was like, and she was scaring the shit out of me every time she showed up somewhere. Sorry about the language. It's the best way to say it. She was scaring me, though. I was like, I guarantee she's the final boss.
I did
And
too.
I knew that right away. But then, this is why I said it gave it away too quickly for me. You see Evie, who eventually realizes the center of all this, or Evelyn, her full name. And then you read the one guy's diary, and he says Evie is starting to look well. She's aging rapidly and everything like that. And right then, I was like, the old bitch in the wheelchair. Sorry for my language again. And not all old women are bitches.
Yeah, I definitely think they teased at it way too much.
Way too
and
much.
even if you didn't read the diaries, just if you look at the pictures,
Yeah.
you never see the grandmother. except by herself.
Correct.
She was never in a picture with the family. So you're stuck to assume, why isn't Grandmom here?
Yes.
It gets a little eerie.
And then, like you said, in the beginning of the game, and I'm talking about the first 15 minutes, you get a picture of the grandmother, and if you flip it over...
E001.
Yeah. So if you're like me and pick up on every little thing, and this is full-blown nerd, and I hate to admit this, when I play certain games, I have a notebook next to me, and I take down notes throughout the game to make sure, because of the first Resident Evil, or if you didn't grab these key cards, you couldn't save Chris or Jill at the end.
Yes.
So that's why I don't feel comfortable playing these Resident Evil games without that. So, but yeah, I feel like that was my biggest complaint, is I figured it out way too quickly. Still a great twist.
I definitely think that was one of my complaints. Definitely agree, still a great twist. And I don't even think everyone's going to read everything. So,
Yeah.
maybe they're banking on people just being that typical gamer now that just goes through, because people seem to not like to read anymore, which is stupid.
We rather
Read.
yeah.
Read, guys. It doesn't
But
take
it's what gives you the majority of the story of that game, because the game does not hold your hand.
100%.
Like, if you don't read, you don't know who Zoe is at all.
And you also don't know some of the puzzles.
Absolutely.
You actually had to read.
And
for
if
some-
you don't grab those VHSs, you are going to die a lot.
Yeah.
Because you need to know what's going on in the house.
Another problem that I had though with the game, I thought the first 3/4 of the game were amazing, and then it kind of goes into what Resident Evil does and becomes an action game.
Yeah, to agree with you, it's not that the last part of the game is terrible, because the controls are so solid, the graphics, the pacing and all that. I wasn't scared eventually, and that's what pissed me off. When I was in that house, and there were so many times I'd open a door and something jumped out, or a doll fell, or a ball ran across the room, I'm like, nope, no.
Yeah.
No, thank you.
Or I would even see like a silhouette walk by, and I was
Yeah.
like, not going that way. When I get out of this room, I'm going to turn the other way.
But like when you get towards the end, and spoiler, well, you know what, I'm done to any spoiler. If you can't figure out this is spoiler, yeah, I don't know what's wrong with you. When you get to the end and you get to the labs underneath the ground or the tunnels underground, there's nothing scary. It's legitimately gun and blaze going through.
Yeah.
And even when you get back into the house, like there's one more jump scare where like you try to go out through the front door and Evie pops back up at you, and that's it. After that,
Well, I also think they did a good job while you're back in the house, where your girlfriend Mia,
yes,
she
wife, by the way,
your wife. No, I thought it was your fiance.
your wife.
Okay. Your wife says before in the game that she sees visions. And you see it throughout the game. Like a bunch of people obviously can see visions because of Evie.
Yes.
You see the visions when you go back to the final part of the game,
Yeah.
and you see your wife coming at you with a chainsaw. That freaked me out sometimes.
I agree. And what freaked me out was I was like, oh, it won't actually hurt you. No, they hurt you still.
Yeah.
So you've got to move out of the way. But jumping around, what is the decision you made between Zoe and Mia?
So I did both. The first
What
one,
was the first one? Is my question.
first one I picked was Mia,
All right.
my wife. Gotta save her.
I went the opposite direction and went with Zoe.
Oh, what a jerk!
I know, and I agree with you. I felt instantly bad, but like I said, if you read who Zoe was and everything like that, you instantly felt bad for her, and you were like, "Oh my God, she didn't want to be part of this family. She's done." And it kind of, once you start reading on Lucas stuff, you kind of wonder what he was doing to her, like,
Yeah.
and it really got you nervous. So I was like, I have to save her.
I will say this: when you do pick Mia and Zoe's there, you feel horrible.
Yeah.
Because Zoe's just like, nope, I'm never meant to leave this family.
Yeah.
I will always be here.
What pisses me off about the two different endings is you pick Mia, you save Mia. That's awesome. Nothing you can do can save Zoe.
Yes.
You can pick Zoe, she still dies, and that pisses me off.
I agree.
So, and I don't like the fact that it's considered a good and bad ending.
Zoe's considered the bad end.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, that's your choice. You know what I mean? Because my wife made an excellent point and I mentioned it to you earlier, if you pick Mia and she survives, that was 3 years she was locked up with the Bakers. And you seen she was going crazy.
Yeah.
So what kind of life is she living now?
I agree. I actually didn't think about it like that until you told me about it. I'm still going to stick with my Mia pick because I do think that when you pick her, it's going to advance the story for maybe the next game.
Yeah.
I think Mia's going to have another part, possibly. We don't know yet. But I do think the Zoe one, after you've pointed it out to me, kind of like just seems like the better one overall.
Yeah. Both endings great, like I said, and either direction you went in, I feel like you'd enjoy the game because you pretty much get the same story, same outline. There's one or two differences.
How'd you like the final boss fight?
Very disappointing.
Agreed.
It was. I feel like it's not really a boss battle. It's.
And you know what was funny? I'm going to backtrack on another game that we both beat not too long ago, Titanfall 2. Since this is a spoiler cast, I'm letting people know we weren't supposed to talk about this game, but spoilers. I thought Titanfall 2 had an amazing ending and an amazing final boss fight. So it kind of sucked to come off of that and go to Resident Evil 7.
Yeah.
And it was kind of like, this boss fight wasn't really that great.
It isn't. Like, and to be honest, I enjoyed the more when you were walking up and she's shooting the blast at you and you have to go. I enjoy that more than when she turns into that
giant face in the
giant
wall.
face, and it's like, oh my god, you went right back to what Resident Evil was.
Yeah.
Everyone, I fight a giant monster at the end. Like,
And it wasn't hard.
it wasn't, and it annoys me because even when you think Resident Evil is going to change that formula, you know, you have the Tyrant, Nemesis, Tyrant, and then what was at the end?
Wesker became a tyrant.
That's what I'm saying. Like, even when at 6, when I'm like, okay, or 5, I'm like, all right, great, I'm not going to have a huge monster at the end. Wesker turns into a giant monster. It's like, so I thought for sure this was going to be the first one to get away from that giant monster thing.
I was really hoping so. And you know what? I wouldn't have mind if it just ended with me putting the cure into her.
That was it, yeah. Throw a couple more of the little things at me, or the most terrifying thing in that game, the thing that throws up. I think it's terrifying. Like,
the big fat ones.
yeah, throw 2 of them at me, I would have been like, shit, no. Like,
I agree. I definitely think that was a missed opportunity, and I just feel like it left like a sour taste in my mouth doing that boss fight because it wasn't challenging.
It wasn't challenging. Like I said, I thought
the Bakers were so much harder.
I know, and they were so much scarier though. Like,
yeah.
And I hate to say this because like I don't think rednecks are scary, but it was the backwater redneckness about them that was scary. Every time the father was, you know, oh, you're not getting away from me, like
he would like curse at you.
It was terrifying. Like, I tell you, the game did this to me freaking twice. Pissed me off.
He called me some horrible things.
Yeah. The first time I played, when you first get captured by them and you break out and you go around the corner and you think they're long and gone and he's sitting there, and you're like, this is when I knew. I was like, well, fuck, this game is scary. All right. Then he comes after you. I couldn't figure out. I didn't know the key was right there, so I kept running to rooms, and he came through the wall at me, and I was like, oh, what is this? Why? So I grabbed the key, and eventually he cuts my leg off.
Yes.
I reattach it. I came through. My second playthrough, I knew exactly where the key was. Ran and grabbed the key and got in there. He never came close to me or touched me. So I was like, awesome. So I finished the game, finished that, go through, unlock everything, come back around, and he busts out of the wall at a different point. So, like, that was meant to happen, but because I wasn't ready for it, again, it scared the crap out of me. So I was like, good job, Resident Evil. Pat you on the back. I played twice within, like, really quick at each other, and you did it. You surprised me and scared the crap out of me.
I think I did the same thing, and the game does have that scare factor still to it. And I think it's because the Bakers are on a random generated path.
Yes.
I do not think, besides the very beginning part, I think his name's Jack Baker, the father.
I don't know, we got him, the father.
The father, though, when you first break out of the chair from dinner and you go around the corner, I think no matter what, he has to be there.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think everything else is just randomly procedured.
Absolutely. And there's certain times I came through the door. There was, last time I was playing, the first time I played it, the second time he just shows up out of nowhere with his face growing back.
Oh, right.
I eventually lost him and just couldn't find him. The next time I played, I couldn't lose him no matter what. So I eventually had to pull out, because when you beat it, you unlock that really powerful handgun.
Yes.
And eventually I had to take him down with that. So it's like, it's a terrifying experience at first.
100%. And I think that's actually, I'm going to go off of that really quick. When you said you unlock the handgun after you beat it, I think that's a very Resident Evil thing to do too.
Yes.
They did it for multiple things. I don't know if you know, but if you beat the game in under 4 hours, you get infinite ammo.
Oh, which sucks. Because the second time I played it, I was 4 hours and like 36 minutes.
Yeah, if you beat it in under 4 hours, you get infinite ammo. If you beat it getting all the bobbleheads, I believe you get X-ray glasses that allow you to see all items throughout the entire game.
Word.
There's like a bunch of stuff, and I was like, wow, this is really cool.
And then after you beat the game, they announced that they're getting extra content in the spring for free.
Yes.
Which is awesome.
Which is a character that you also see at the end of the game.
Yes, which I didn't know when you want to go to this, but I'm going to bring it up. You see that Umbrella's back.
Yes.
Okay, and to anybody, this is not like we originally thought. This is not a prequel because you read a newspaper in there that Raccoon City is still recovering after 17 years ago. So you know this is a sequel. The game does take place in 2016, but at the end, Umbrella is the team that comes in to rescue you. And not only is it Umbrella that comes to rescue
you get Redfield.
Redfield doesn't say Chris though.
That's what I was a little curious about.
It just says Redfield. He could be Chris. Definitely not the same voice actor.
Not the same voice actor, and doesn't have the same physical presence he
Correct.
had.
But this is also the last time we seen Chris was PlayStation 3
This is true.
and 360.
Now, I don't know. You're better with the Resident Evil lore than I am. Does Chris have a brother? I know he has a sister.
No, there's no timeline with a brother. And then I was thinking, well, maybe this is him and Jill's son. I was like, no, even timeline wise, they said that the Raccoon City was only 17 years ago.
There's no way he would be old enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking this has got to be Chris Redfield. My question is, why is he working with Umbrella? Is this the same timeline? What's going on? How long's it been? You know what I mean? Because last we left Chris, he's working for the anti-Umbrella organization that was disabling what was left of Umbrella.
Now, do you think Chris might be? This could be a clone.
Could be.
Clone Redfield.
The only other thing I want to point out, because like I said, I do love the Resident Evil games. I play it. The ship in the game that you go to is identical to the one from Revelations.
Huh. I never played Revelations,
Yes,
so I wouldn't have known.
and the monsters in Revelations are also very close looking to the monsters you fight in this one. So I'm wondering, I'm wondering if it's the same
Ship and all.
Mhm.
Huh.
Because you never know what that Umbrella ship was doing out there. It never tells you in Revelations.
Really?
Yes.
That's interesting.
So, very well, it could have been,
Now, in Revelations, do they have any talk of a little girl or anything on it, or no?
No, in Revelations 2 there is.
Okay. I'm
Who was
curious.
also created by Umbrella. So.
Well, we know the girl was obviously genetically engineered.
Yes.
Um,
We don't know what the company is, so that could be just Umbrella coming to clean up their own mess.
Now, do you think we're going to keep playing as Ethan from here on out?
I think Mia's the story they want to follow. To be honest, I didn't mind playing as her because when you come back to find out, like, she was...
That was an interesting twist.
Yes. Like, she's security detail on the ship and everything, and she was the handler for...
Evelyn.
Excuse me. I was like, okay, she's actually really badass. So, God, this is a good game. So, I overall really enjoyed it. I seen the twist coming from my way. The final boss was a little disappointing, but...
I also didn't like the molded. I felt they were good at first, but I really feel like they overstay their welcome and they lose that scare factor.
You know what I did not like about them was there was 3 different designs for them.
The crawler.
Well,
technically four.
Yes.
Yeah.
There's 4 different designs for them, but they generically all look the same. Like, the crawler looked like a molded, it just looked like a liquor molded.
Yeah.
Versus, like, I feel like the zombies at least had their own individuality. So.
I agree.
I would like to see them do this franchise, this look, this gameplay with actual zombies. That would be neat.
Now, what do you think the next one is going to do? Based off of what we've seen here, I really don't want them. Obviously, Umbrella's probably going to take Mia and Ethan back to a lab. Is what I think is going to happen. I do not want a game where I'm in a lab.
Yeah, especially doing the house thing. Like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if they kind of continue the lore a little bit. So, for example, the first one was all one big house. This was all one big house, one big...
Second one was the police station.
So, the second one was the city. Majority of it took place in the police station. What was it? 75% of the game was the police station?
Yeah.
So...
Those puzzles made no sense.
Yes.
Why does a door need to have an animal hide to open in the police station?
I agree. So maybe the second one would be a city again, you know what I mean? An affected city or something like that. What I would like to see is just another compound like that. Maybe a hotel or a huge apartment building. That would be
I wouldn't mind that either.
So we'll see where it goes. I don't know. Overall, how were the sales for it?
Apparently they were really good. Apparently it's selling really well. The reviews have been really good.
Yeah, it was. The lowest I think I seen for it was 8.
The lowest I've seen was a 7.7. That was by IGN. But yeah, everyone else has been giving it 10s, 9s.
So even the 7's pretty good. You know what I mean?
A 7.7 is really good.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people forget that. Like, a lot of people tend to think, oh, got a 7.7, must be trash. It's like, what? And what world is...
That's legitimately, like, on the higher end, but yeah. So and then on top of that, it's you got a lot of because I've seen it get tens in a couple places.
Yeah, same.
So
and that's where it really depends. And I think instead of looking at the place, you need to look at the person that did the review, because sometimes there are people that will do a review that I don't agree with their opinion. So obviously, I probably won't feel the same way about the game that they did.
I know a lot of people just read the score versus, like you said, reading the actual opinion. I agree with you. There's been a couple times where I've read their opinion. They're like, oh, well, they do this, and I don't like a complaint I always hear is backtracking, how they hate doing that in games. That's one of my favorite things in the game is backtrack. I actually enjoy it.
I actually didn't mind, especially in this game.
Yeah,
going back and you get the Raven key, and you didn't even have to open the Raven door that was in the main house. No. Well, one of them you didn't have to open. But if you open it, you get a gun before you get it later in the game.
Yes. So with the toy shotgun versus the broken one.
Yeah.
But if you use a repair kit, you can fix the shotgun as well and still replace it with the toy shotgun. So there's a lot of options you had in that game.
Yeah. I really liked it, though. I really thought it was a solid game. A really good way to start the series again. I don't want to say a really good way to start a series, because obviously it's already been established, and they're not making this a reboot.
No, because like I said, Umbrella exists and Redfield.
Yes.
So ambiguous. I guess we're going to get more of the story, though, because it looks like that's who you're playing as.
In the next DLC, it looks like Chris, or Redfield, is the main guy that we're going to be playing as. And it says not a hero is the title of it. What do you think that's going to mean?
Like I said, if they're redoing the franchise, maybe Capcom's got the balls to turn Chris into the villain. Like Chris has given up and he's now working for Umbrella. Like I can't obviously stop them from the outside, so when we join them inside, at least contain it. So.
The only thing I could think of, if they're going to continue with the established universe they have, unless they come out and say only Resident Evil 1, like if they come out and say only certain ones have happened, then it's like, okay, I could see this. Maybe Chris is going to turn bad because he's not a part of the anti-Umbrella organization and all. But I can only see him really being a clone at this point.
Good, or like I said, maybe this is a new Umbrella group. I mean, Wesker's dead. Adawan, went missing at the end of 6. So who knows what's going on with this. God, I really enjoyed this game. Overall, though, the story itself, like when you explains that the Bakers found her and thought she was just a little girl, Daddy brought her home,
and they slowly get corrupted.
Yeah,
and he even says that, and you feel really bad when he says that to you. He's like, she just has a way of getting into your soul, and you're just like, he's like, we're not violent people, man. We don't mean to do. I didn't mean to do this or hurt anyone.
And it was the amount of detail and some of the things that happen in the game. Like I said, losing your hand to the chainsaw in the beginning. And losing your foot if you mess up in the beginning of that.
Yeah.
Which apparently you don't have to go through that because I found that out the second time.
Same. I lost my foot the first time as well.
So my question to you is, how did you feel about the, what do you call that?
The super ointment?
Yeah, that you throw on and apparently heals all wounds. The stab marks.
The
detached limbs.
The heal ointment obviously had to have superpowers, otherwise it would have, when I lost my foot and he didn't kill me after and I could reattach my foot, I was kind of like, what the hell? I love that he makes you crawl for it too.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, come on, come get it. But it made sense. My girlfriend was watching me play and she saw me put the ointment on my arm and she was like, why are the staples still in there? I was like, well, she even said that she was like, I get that you'd have to surgically remove them, but why doesn't he just take them out? It's like, well, this all has to take place in a day.
Yes.
And I highly doubt he wants to take the time out to remove those.
I like how the life gauge is on the wristwatch.
The watch. I also like that I couldn't always see it.
Yeah. So when you're in the middle of fighting, and I'm dying here, excuse me. So,
I will say, though, that actually does bring me to something that I completely forgot about, but I really disliked about the game. The blood splatter. Because even after I would heal myself all the way, sometimes there would still be blood on my screen.
Yes.
And I wouldn't know sometimes if I got hit, and I would waste, a healing item, and I was like, I didn't even need to do that. Like, what the hell?
There is a couple times I really liked, is at first I kept pressing triangle to pull up my inventory to see it, and then I realized all I had to do was block my face and I could see what my life was.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, wow, that's clever. There was a couple times I would get thrown, and I could see my watch and see what my life was like. Oh, need a first aid. So I thought that was neat, that it all kind of ran in real time like that.
Yeah, that is
There was
cool.
only 2 pre-rendered cutscenes in that entire game. Everything else is in real time, and I think that's really neat.
Which, yeah, I agree. It's really cool.
And it's a beautiful game, man. Beautiful.
Super beautiful. And I think that's part of the thing that makes it so scary. You're in such a shitty looking house, but God, does it look real.
Who do you think Ethan is? Do you think it was weird that they never showed his face?
I think you're supposed to be Ethan.
I can see that. I do understand that. I feel like, especially with them establishing that this is in the universe and to never see his face, I think that is super odd.
I don't think it can obviously be a character's son.
Obviously, it can't be a character's son, but could it be...
Do we get a last name for Ethan?
No. Never get a face, but like I said, get to see Mia, we get to see her face, everything like that. I had no issue doing that, and every other character, and Redfield at the end.
Yeah.
And the worst thing about it, and it's so weird, when he landed, he started taking something off, I was like, I guarantee it's Chris Redfield. And then when he said it's just Redfield, I was like, is it? Is it though?
I wouldn't mind if they make this just a new character. I don't need him to be tied to anyone. Whether or not they do tie him to anyone is a different story, but we'll see. I'm okay with Ethan just being Ethan, a guy who was extremely unlucky who went to go look for his wife.
Yeah. And I do feel that. Like, I was playing through the second time, I was just like, shit, man, I understand going to try to find your wife and not giving up, but wow, this is creepy just to begin with. Like, when you're walking in the swamp and you see the father just walk by in the beginning, I was like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I was a little shocked that he doesn't call out to him. Like, you see him, but I'm surprised that, like, Ethan doesn't say, hey!
I don't know if it was supposed to be you didn't notice him, because it's out of the corner of your eye.
That is true. That's true, too. But I'm excited to see where they go with it. Great game.
Felt bad for the cop.
Oh, my God, right? And they used that body for quite a few things.
The whole throat.
Oh, my God. You got to dig into his body for the one key.
Yep.
It was the snake one.
Yep.
And then you have to... you get his head in the fridge, which he was turning into a molded, I think. Like, his head kind of looked like it.
Looked like he was kind of reattached, maybe. I don't know.
Because don't forget, a bunch of people were missing.
Right.
So I think the molded are those people.
Could be. But then you come across a couple bodies in the game, too.
That is true, too.
So,
like the one while you're going through the basement of the house, and you see the body float up.
And then you see the one guy that's set on fire, if you watch the one tape, the Happy Birthday.
Yes.
Which was... pretty awesome.
I really like the Happy Birthday one.
Yes.
This is a good puzzle.
So.
I definitely like the clown and thing carving loser in my arm.
Yes, and then second time I came through, I was like, I wonder if I can just type in loser, and I was like, oh. Well,
yep.
There it goes. There it goes. Awesome.
But do you want them to bring in other characters? Do you want to see Leon? Do you want to see Ada Wong?
I do want to see. You know what I would like to see is continuation of Ethan and Mia's story. Get in, who was this organization she works for? Who is she? How was it the 3 years with the Bakers? You know what I mean? Get that whole story explained to me, and then maybe down the line, connecting both of these franchises.
Now, do you think that's what all the DLC is going to be?
Could be.
Do you think we're going to see the 3 years of her being by herself?
I mean, how many DLCs are coming out with this?
We don't know. We know there's a season pass, and we definitely know the first one.
It's free, which is awesome, by the way.
Super awesome. But other than that, yeah, I have no idea.
But honestly, this game was so fun. This is, like I said, it is the first time in years I played through a game, and then to get the second ending, I immediately played it. I finished it back to back.
Yeah.
I finished it Friday night. I finished it first time, and then Saturday, the next day, I finished it again for the second time.
Yeah. I did the same, because you texted me Friday when you beat it maybe an hour or two before me. Then I knocked it out. Text you that I beat it, and you were like, I'm going for my second run. I was like, son of a bitch. I can't do a spoiler cast and him have a leg up on me knowing an ending.
I got both endings, buddy. Yeah, no. I was very passionate about this, and I wanted, like I said, I wanted to finish it this week. Because overall, the game, like you said, you can finish it in under 4 hours. But if you really take your time with that game, do all the tapes and get all the puzzles and stuff, pretty sure you can get a few good.
I didn't even get all the bobbleheads. I didn't find all the documents. Like, when I beat the game, I only had 9 out of the 20 bobbleheads.
I had 17.
And I was
really pissed.
I was missing quite a few of the documents. What are there, 30 total? 33 or something? Something in the 30s. And I think I only had a little more than half of it. I was like, man, I really suck.
Yeah, you do.
But, yeah, I really liked it. And I'm excited to play through it again. I'm going to play through it again. I might even platinum it because I really do enjoy the game.
It was fun. It was fun.
So,
The light and the shadows were really good on it. Pretty fun. And I like the fact that the demo didn't ruin anything.
100%.
I thought that was
Nothing that was really in the demo was in the game.
Yes. Except for the first little bit of the house and even like that. And
You didn't even do the same puzzles or
No.
anything. So.
what I liked about it too was if you didn't play the demo, you got a whole new experience with it. And if you did play the demo, all you really understood was how the game was set up.
Yeah.
So, my opinion, Resident Evil 7 is a 9 out of 10. I would give it a 9 out of 10.
I can agree.
Had they fixed the ending a little, well, not the ending itself, the last, I'll say 20 minutes of it, I would have given it a perfect score. Just because.
For me, it's between that 8.5 and 9 area for me. I had a few complaints, but they obviously can be overlooked compared to the full product of the game.
If the game felt like it did in the beginning, because when I first started playing it, and the Bakers and that was just,
My heart was racing.
I was like, this might be it. Like I said, for a while there, I was like, is this my favorite Resident Evil? I haven't had this much fun, and I love that franchise, but I'm not sure. And honestly, it's hard because they all haven't aged that gracefully.
No.
But
They re-released most of them, and when you go back to play them, you're just kind of like, oh.
so be honest, they really re-released 4, 5, and 6.
And then 0 and the
And
first
one. Out of all the re-release playing, the one I had the most fun playing was the remake of 1.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, and 0.
0, 2. The only complaint I had about 0, and I'm glad they took this out, was where you would have to leave certain items and then go back like 4 or 5 rooms.
Yeah.
Or in my case, a different building completely to get it.
Yeah. Other than that, I really liked 0. I really liked 1. Once again, looking back at them, because, when you're younger and you play them, these things don't really come into your head, but some of the puzzles make no sense.
Absolutely.
For, like, the setting. Like, I loved that in the setting, like we said before, in our other podcast, the puzzles made sense. You had a scorpion door with a shit ton of scorpions stringed together on it. Like, that's creepy, and it makes sense for crazy rednecks to do something like that, because they're crazy.
Absolutely. Some of the puzzles did not make sense, especially when it gets. And then, like I said, then I got away from puzzle elements altogether. Come 5 and 6, they were just action games completely.
Yeah, 100%.
So.
I also think they did a good job with 7 making ammo very scarce.
Yes. Especially the first time I played it. Oh, there were so many times I'd be in the middle of a fight.
And sometimes
you just have the knife and like, please don't kill me.
And sometimes you really have to just pick which enemies you're going to kill and which ones you're not. Because there are some that I had to just run by. Because I was like, I know I'm coming up to a boss soon. And I don't even know if I have enough ammo for that.
Yeah. I agree. Especially towards the end. A lot of those, like, you'll just get overwhelmed really, really quickly.
Yeah.
Literally at the end, the only 2 you can't skip are the 2
fat ones.
Yeah.
At the very bottom.
So that's about it about the game. I just overall. Only other thing I want to bring up is Capcom announced that they are remaking 2.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Yes. Do you think they're going to use the same engine and look, first person again?
Oh, it's a full remake,
Yeah.
or is it just an HD remake?
No, full remake.
I hope they do, because I think that would be a really interesting take on it if they did that. That would be really cool.
I wouldn't even mind if you do it and when Leon and Claire split up, skip back and forth between them.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind that either.
So 2 was a solid game. I like 2.
2 is really good. I'm actually hoping that if they redo 3 as well, they do the 3 we were supposed to get, the Ada Wong game that you were talking about.
Yeah, I mean, Code Veronica.
Code Veronica, right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of hope that they do that instead of a Nemesis game.
I'm always annoyed that they always re-release them 2, 3, and Code Veronica never get released. So I'm always hoping that we'll get a re-release of 2, 3, and Code Veronica, and all, since they're all PlayStation 1 and PlayStation 2 games, all in one disc. Yeah, I mean.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah. So yeah, but I like those Resident Evil games.
Yeah, you're a big fan.
I am. Zelda, Link, or Zelda, Legend of Zelda, Metal Gear Solid, and Resident Evil are my top franchises, I'd say.
Nice.
I'd give it up to Mario, but I still haven't forgiven him for Mario is Missing.
I've never played that game.
You didn't miss anything.
Except Mario.
Except Mario, because he's missing.
But, yeah, so I think...
Rescue.
I think that was a really good episode for a spoiler. I think we covered pretty much everything.
Absolutely. And, guys, if you have any spoiler episodes you'd like us to get into, maybe movies or any other games you want us to do this again, go over Titanfall 2 or Final Fantasy, let us know.
Yeah, we definitely would like to do more spoiler casts if you guys are into it. Leave us a comment below. Let us know what you liked about Resident Evil, what you didn't like, and if you're excited for the new take of the series. Feel free to like us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, SoundCloud. We post every week, and this is actually the first time we're doing 2 episodes. So once again, let us know what you think, and maybe
Is this
we can
considered 9 and 10, or we just consider this all 1 9?
It's just 9 and then a spoiler cast. So
Right.
spoiler casts are not going to count as numbers, so that people don't ever have to feel like they missed something.
Yes, yes.
They're spin-offs.
Yes.
But yeah, that'll be it. This is Will Zabo,
Jess and Nazaria.
and you guys have a good one.